Hi there. I still remain yours truly, Maxwell Okure. I want to begin first with this. Some people are so poor that the only thing they have is money. Charlie, did that make any sense to you on that? Sorry about that, really. Okay. Some people are so poor that the only thing they have is money. Now, I know as you listen to this, you're really wondering in your head, like, how can I be poor, so poor that the only thing I have is money? Yes, you can have money and still be poor. That is why a man who believed he has given himself back to Christ, who believed that there is a greater place to spend eternity, could come up and say, I can't follow a poor pastor. Now, the big question is, who is a rich pastor and who is a poor pastor? Now, I'll give that topic for dissertation probably for some other time. Now, listen carefully to this. Most people that profess wealth today or riches today are the same people who strongly believe they couldn't or wouldn't have been able to make it in life. That is why they glorify wealth. In fact, they are moved by the sight of wealth. And it still caught my attention back to what I have been anchoring over and over and over. The followership needs to be very, very, very cautious. Who do you follow? Because if a man of God that we run to when we have problems, that we call his name because he believes in a God that we all truly believe in, could sputter, could insinuate things like this, it calls for a measure of sober reflection, sincerely, in my opinion. And this narrows down my talk today to two things: know when to use your head and know when to use your heart. Very, very important. Very, very important. Am I making sense with this? Now, when you're using your head, your heart has no business in that spectrum, in that space. When you're using your heart, your head has no business in that confinement. You need to create a bifurcation, a separation to when I use my head and when I use my heart. Let me give you a practical instances. A lot of us know who Barack Obama is, the black president of America, blah blah blah. He did his two-term in the US and whatever. Yeah. He's married to Michelle Obama. Now, let me quickly say something about how they met. In the chambers where Obama was working, Michelle was the senior counsel in that chamber, meaning Barack Obama was, in a way, under, like a subordinate to Michelle. Please don't take my words for it. You can Google. Okay. Barack Obama saw Michelle, and I'm very sure in his heart, he was damn convinced. In fact, he burned his boat, crossed his mast, and said, this is my woman. This is my wife that I actually will be with for the rest of my life. In fact, had a strong conviction. At that moment, his head was not talking. It was his heart that was talking. Now, you can imagine you moving to your senior, somebody that you only say good morning, Marty. Just imagine it. You say good morning, Marty, to that person. And one morning, probably Monday morning, he just walked up to our decks and said, good morning. Ever since I came into this office, can't just get my mind off you. I love you so much. Will you marry me? You can imagine how that sounds really to your senior. And she'll be there just lay back, you know, prostrate in disbelief, and just looks at you like, is he nuts? Is he okay? And that probably would have been what would be going on in Michelle's mind. But that was what really happened. I'm very sure Barack Obama would have had the same position as Esther did in the Bible, where he made as a president before the king, which was not supposed to be. And he said in the book of Esther, if I perish, I perish. You get. That is when your heart speaks. You know what to do. You know how to go about it. And today, the rest is history. They are married and they have kids. That is when you know when your heart is talking and you go with it. Let me give you another position to this. When your head talks. Most of us watch WWE, this wrestling whatever. I never knew that the wrestling was scripted, not until a few years back when Undertaker lost to Brock Lesnar. That's when I knew fully that they script those wrestling things you see. So it's not real. So don't get all theory and whatever about what happens there. It's all scripted, just like a Nollywood movie or Hollywood movie. Now, Triple H, the current CEO, not acting anymore, current CEO of WWE after Vince McMahon left due to a scandal. When he was starting off with the company, he had a girlfriend known as China, and they were all into each other. In fact, it was very, very, how do I put it now? It's like a certain situation that they actually were going to marry and settle down. The bond was so tight, the affection was so real. But I'm very, very sure Triple H, Mr. Paul now, used his head, not his heart this time around, because he was in love anyways. He loved China, but he used his head. He saw the big picture, and he said, in his mind, I'm just assuming, Vince McMahon is the president of WWE and has a beautiful daughter. If I get to get attached to this daughter and probably marry her, I might have a better position after retirement in the company. I'm just assuming in my head now. Triple H took the big, massive move and disengaged with China and told China that our relationship can't go on anymore, blah, 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 after some little escapades anyways. And eventually got entangled with Stephanie McMahon, which happens to be the daughter of Vince McMahon. And today they are married. You get. And because of that marriage, Triple H got closer to Mr. Vince. And Mr. Vince left as a result of the scandal that he had, and now Triple H is in charge. And don't forget, Vince McMahon has a son already, but probably they saw a bigger thing. They saw a very clinical managerial disposition with Triple H. And today Triple H is in charge. In fact, concluding with the NXT version, or probably angle of annex of it there. So the guy is like sitting supreme in the wrestling confinement. That is when you know when to use your head. Now, Triple H should have used his heart. He loved China. China loved him, but he really saw the bigger picture. This narrows it down to my position of knowing when somebody is talking and spilling out the truth, and when somebody is being manipulative. Sincerely. The greatest material today that is being manipulated enormously. In fact, I'm yet to see a book that is being manipulated the way the Bible is being manipulated today. I'm yet to see a book. People just come up and they just turn it all around and pick verses that suits their, order, that suits their proclamation, their interest. And they just project it. And the followership will just buy everything hook, line, and sinker. And allows the manipulator to go scot-free. And I keep hammering on this. Before the Bible was canonized, before the Bible was put together and commercialized through the printing press, there was common sense. There was common sense.